G'day there. For a lot of us, retirement is just around the corner. But here's a question. Is your super really, and I mean really, working as hard as it could be in these last few crucial years? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on how a self-managed super fund can put you firmly in the driver's seat. We'll look at how to properly fuel up your fund before you clock off for good, a really smart way to invest in property, and the absolute game-changing tax perk that's waiting for you in the pension phase. All right, let's dive right in. And it all starts with one simple but very important question.
Look, if you feel like your standard super fund is just kind of sitting there on autopilot, then a self-managed super fund, or SMSF, is like taking over the controls yourself.
That's exactly it. With an SMSF, you, and up to 5 other people if you like, become the trustees. And what that means is you're calling the shots. You make all the investment decisions, from shares and gold, right through to property. And it's this level of control that's a real draw card for so many Aussies, especially when retirement isn't just a far-off idea anymore. So let's look at that first strategy, fueling up. Okay, those last few years before you retire, they are absolutely critical for beefing up your balance. Think of it like putting as much fuel in the tank as you possibly can before you take off on a very long, very enjoyable flight. So you've got 2 main ways to get money into your super. There's concessional, which is your pre-tax money, and then there's non-concessional, which is money you put in after you've already paid tax on it. But for anyone who's looking to make a really big impact, there's a powerful rule you absolutely need to know about. Yes, this is the Supercharger. The Bring Forward rule basically lets you jam up to 3 years' worth of your after-tax contributions into a single year, as long as your total super balance is under a certain limit, of course. So let's put that in real terms. Instead of just putting in your annual limit of $120,000, you could, potentially, put in 3 times that amount, all in one go. That's right. For those who are eligible, that's a potential $360,000 injection straight into your super in just one financial year. Now that can be a real game changer. Okay, so once you've fueled up the tank, you need the right set of wheels. And for a lot of small business owners, an SMSF opens up this incredible door to owning your own commercial property inside your super fund. Now, it might look a bit complicated, but here's the gist. An SMSF can actually borrow money using this special setup called a limited recourse borrowing arrangement, or LRBA. The key thing is the property gets held in a separate trust until that loan is all paid off, and that protects all the other assets sitting in your super fund. Pretty clever, huh? And that right there is the real kicker. Your business pays rent, as it always does, but instead of that money disappearing into a landlord's pocket, it goes directly into your own super fund, paying off your own asset. Okay, so let's see how this all comes together, because this is where that runway metaphor really takes off. Once you retire and you start taking an income from your super, you enter a whole new phase. See, while you're still working, your super is what's called the accumulation phase. Any money your investments earn, like, say, the rent from that commercial property we just talked about, gets taxed. Now, that 15% is a concessional rate, so it's already way lower than what most of us pay in income tax. But when you retire and you flick that switch on your SMSF over to the pension phase, well, something pretty incredible happens. That's right, zero. Zilch. The tax rate on your investment earnings inside your super can drop all the way to nothing. That includes rental income and any capital gains if you sell that property. And it gets even better. If you hold Australian shares, you can get cash refunds for any franking credits. It is a massive and, frankly, often overlooked advantage. So you get more control, you get more investment options, and you get some pretty significant tax benefits. But being the pilot also means you're the one responsible for flying the plane safely. You gotta remember, as a trustee, you are legally on the hook for all the decisions. The rules are complex, and the penalties for getting it wrong can be really severe. It's definitely not something to be taken lightly. Look, an SMSF can be an absolutely powerful tool to supercharge your retirement savings, but getting expert advice is critical to make sure you're set up for success and flying straight. So I guess the question is, are you ready to take the controls?